Hey everybody, welcome to Trading Capital's exclusive analysis. In today's video, we're going to be discussing some potential trade setups, potential insights into some market buying and selling. And the first resource I'm going to bring to your attention here is the free resource marketbeat.com, where you can track insider trades. There are some other paid services which are certainly interesting to potentially research, but definitely marketbeat.com is a free and easy resource to understand. And right away, I'm going to jump you right into some action here. O'Reilly, ticker ORLY, nearing the 52-week highs. I'm seeing some interesting insider selling that is occurring. So you have two different people, three different sells. You have Thomas McFall, he's the EVP, and you have Jeffrey Alano. Now, if we look what happened, they both sold. They sold 5,300 shares, totaling just over 5 million. He had a remainder of 5,901 shares after that, and then he did a second sale over here at around 4,025. So totaling about 8.8 million in stock sold, just over 9,000 shares, and right now he only has 5,901. So he sold more than half of his shares, pretty much near the 52-week high in ORLY. So what that's telling me is that maybe after this massive extension move, it is wise that this could be a potential opportunity and stock that could see some downside, at least back to this previous pivot, 875, sub $900, retracing back to support. And again, if you look at the other insider that sold, Jeffrey Allen Loro, that wasn't really too big of a sell, nothing really to sneeze at. I mean, he only had about 776 shares left over after the 100 sell, so totaling 96,000. But definitely interesting to see insiders are really starting to sell at the very, very high on the chart. But definitely an overbought chart. This name is a very, very light volume name, high price, light volume. Definitely one of the stocks that needs a market top to see some come downs. Now, if we look on the long side, what I'm starting to see here is there might be a potential opportunity in ARI. There's some insider buying and selling, but really this sector is a little bit weak because of the whole XLRE sector being extra weak because of the higher yield environment. And then if you look at the XL or HLF, Herbalife has actually seen some interesting inflows and insider buying that is occurring. And right now, XLF is trying to potentially break out of a down-sloping wedge pattern. Here you can see by these dotted trend lines. If it can succeed and get above this key trend line, we could see a sharp move up to about this $17 or $18 level before you need to see some more consolidation. Let's take a look at some of the other potential action in this ETF. There's another stock actually, I believe, on the sell side. Let me just quickly scroll up to see. You had mRNA here, an insider, the CEO, Stephanie Bancel, selling 40,000 shares, 5.2 million, but really she still has 5.4 million shares. So 40,000 for her 5.4 million shares isn't really that much, but it's a sell. You had this MODV buy. So they did a pretty significant buy. So I do believe that was one stock I was looking at. Yeah, and look at this long-term trend line. So MODV basically is a transportation company. And despite all the other transports being weak, this one might be putting in a bottom. Right now, its average volume is around 188,000, so it's definitely not a traded stock. It's more of a buy and hold kind of play, a longer, slower swing trader because it's very light volume. And it's a small cap. It's only 787 million market cap, and it doesn't pay a yield. It has a kind of a spotty earnings. But needless to say, if you look at the technical picture, you can see you're into this breakout trend line, and then this longer term upsloping trend line going all the way back to 2012, your major COVID low, and you are putting in a bottoming tail on volume. So that is a short-term positive. This did see some insider buying. As you can see here, you had the director. There were two big buy orders here, 46,350 and 38,738, totaling just around just under 5 million. Pretty decent buying order. And it's interesting to see that it is at the low of the chart, hitting technical support. Let's scroll through to see if there's any other recent history of buying noticeable companies. And what I'm looking here for is basically a real reduction in the amount of shares that they own. So if you see someone selling more than 50% of the shares that they hold, that's a little red flag, or even 40, even 30%. You're seeing big bulk sellers like this Elizabeth. I mean, MGRC, I've never really heard of it. So let's just take a look at this company, shall we? So MGRC, the weekly chart right now, just want to see what type of company this is. So MGRC is finance, rental, leasing. So also in that commercial space, it's valued at 2.22 billion. Average volume is 140,000, very light, but it has been starting to increase up to the 600,000 volume as of recently. So that's actually a positive. At least on the weekly chart, it is. It's still certainly light on the daily. And then we'll just see some other history here. Mixed ratings, strong buy. All right, so technical picture, bearish right now. You are really hugging this 50 weekly moving average support, but you're putting in bearish consolidation to move lower. A close above this red bar high puts you in a sharp move to the upside. A close below this red bar opens you up to a bigger move down to about 77 bucks. Based off of the insider price action here, you had Elizabeth, the director, selling a large stake in her position. Now, keep in mind this is a small company, so it's only 127,000, but she sold a decent amount of shares. Shares sold 1,400, remaining 5,200. So that's a big chunk sold, and the pattern is favoring a bearish break to the downside. So obviously this is speculative, and you have to do a little bit more due diligence, but it's just a little. It's interesting to see if you get bearish or bullish patterns based off of buy and sell signals, and especially when the buy and sell signals are a decent amount of their portfolio. You also have here, let's see, lending tree. So they bought 10,000 shares, increasing their portfolio. That's a pretty decent buy side program, basically a 33% increase in the portfolio. That's the director. So let's pull up tree. I know this is an extreme small cap, and you often get a lot of this, but look at this detrimental downtrend. I mean, that is just disgusting. Oh my goodness. This chart is a little scary. I mean, you're going back to 2023. Let's check this monthly chart out. Nothing really exciting here on this chart. Considering you had a big bounce here and you're doing a bearish close. I mean, let me take this weekly chart again. Yeah, so I mean, you're testing support right now. This is the spot to buy at, really. You're at this buying level right here. This is the double bottom. If you lose this level, you do a stop loss and a weekly close below this weekly reversal here, and that's your level in the sand. So this is actually interesting. Now, it's a small cap, 227 million market cap. That is nothing. Average weekly volume 239,000. That's nothing. That's not good at all. And this is all daily bearish price action. So the likelihood that it breaks this level is looking fairly and much more likelier. And then the insider did buy though, so maybe there's an announcement trip, or basically increasing the exposure by 30%. So maybe they come out with a positive announcement or something of that nature, but who knows? Nasty trending chart. Let's look at some others here. International Flowers, IFF, sold 1972. Okay, that's a decent chunk, but we'll keep scrolling. See if there's any other interesting companies. Hayward, shares sold. Wow, so this is a big one here. This H. Hayward Corn Capital, major shareholder, sold 13.5 million shares. Holy, only 955,000 remaining, 159. So this is a big one. And then down here as well, another 2 million shares, another 23 million. So let's look at this chart. Now, this looks like it's a financial. It looks like it's a pretty big player that could be seeing some near-term downside here. So, all right, so Hayward Holdings. Let me just double check this again. Yep, Hayward. So they sold on May 10th, so that would have been the Wednesday. Okay, let's go to the daily chart. So we're on the daily. So this was the Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. So this is the Wednesday sell, this big heavy candle. That makes sense. But that big seller should cause more damage on the chart. Let's just take a look at this again. You got to close back below the weekly 50 on heavy volume. So there were buyers there, but definitely a down week. Look at the monthly. Monthly still got an inside bar. That's healthy for now. But looks like you tried having a breakout and now you're getting rejected. That might be a negative. Let's monitor this one, but a big insider sell like that's basically exiting the position. Obviously a little bit left in the holdings, but I'm going to keep that one on watch for a short side If I see more weakness, I may consider putting that on the short side. HAW. Let me just check the daily chart again. This is an intriguing potential. I love seeing that heavy distribution of massive majority shareholder or a big time shareholder basically exiting the position, major shareholder almost completely exiting the position. That's telling me something's coming. And right away at this, my eyes take me to this gap fill before you had this breakout. And I mean, if we could play a drop down to that area, that's about a 13.2% move. There's still some weakness. I mean, you even have a weekly gap here. That would be phenomenal to potentially get to. Interesting chart. So that's a potential. Let's take a look at some others here. We'll keep scrolling through. Goosehead, GBRK, so 1 million, so 25,000, 35,000 shares. That's a two different companies though. Maybe we can look at this Green Brick Partners. Let me just take a quick peek. Yeah, General Electric. Ooh, look at GE. Scott SVP. So the senior vice president sold. Oh, that's a big one. This is a doozy, guys. That's a doozy. GE. Let's look at this. A huge sell in GE. You know what? That's what I love, because full disclosure, I am short GE already, and I just noticed this right now. So I'm short at this 100 level, 100.8. Actually, maybe a little bit higher. I think I'm at 102. I have a couple different short positions. I have to. Anyways, I know my members are short above $100 here. Now on the weekly chart, GE is extended. It's way above its weekly 50. I think we're going to get a retrace there. And what I've just noticed here, Scott Strazik has sold 173,000 shares of his GE, totaling 17.3 million. He only has 56,000 left. So he sold basically 3 times more than what he has left. So that's a big distribution. That's definitely doesn't vote confidence in my eyes when it's the senior vice president selling most of his GE shares. That's something I observe. And again, it could be all speculation. It could be seeing into it. But when the insider of that magnitude sells a large position, and preferably at the highs into massive resistance technical levels, this is something I look for as a trader. You know, we're into this massive channel over here in a very extended move, and just so happens that the technical short is lining up with the fundamental sell side program of a massive insider. So pay attention to GE, because I do think that's an interesting one. Let's see this here. All right, I'm going to do one more. Let's see if we can find one more potential. Scanning through. EXAS. I did have that on my radar. Obviously, that's on the sell side again. Let me see if I scroll through some of the buy sides. There's a lot of sell sides, but there are some buy sides that we can also look through the longs. I did mention the Herbalife. That one's got that downsloping wedge, insider buying, MODV hitting massive long-term technical support. That's a beautiful one to potentially bottom pick and play long. PLOW Plow is putting in a nice little potential downsloping wedge that could break to the upside. I think we can get a move back to $33. There was some insider buying on that end. And then this FDMT, this one's actually interesting, and I'm actually considering potentially playing it along. The only thing I don't like is it doesn't have a long history. Now, it's a health tech, biotech company, and they've actually been acting well. And what I'm liking about this is you had your initial 2-week move up, long consolidation, bearish, try to do a bearish inside breakdown here, and then you had a bigger breakout over here to basically negate the bearish pattern, keeping this bullish consolidation going. And now you have an inside bar potential bull flag over here, as well as a bigger one in play as well. If you look on the monthly chart, this is all inside action. Looks like it wants to head higher. Any pattern can fail, but it looks like it wants to head higher. And I'm actually watching this pattern closely for potential long play, especially since earnings just transpired. I want to wait a few more days to see if we get upgrades, downgrades before I decide to play it. But you did see some insider buying. And right now, even on the TradingView platform, it's only a small cap. I mean, it's 595 million, so be mindful of that. It's a small cap, super risky. Definitely portfolio allocation is key. But it's on technicals on a strong buy. I am actually liking this bullish consolidation with a hard stop below this low range boundary. I would prefer to buy it on a retrace to the low range of the boundary or this gap fill, but you never know what you get. And then obviously the strong buy on the analyst side here, they have an implied upside of about 114%. Take a look at this. So, the average is about 114% upside over the course of the next year and a half or so. Max upside here. Again, it's a newbie, it's a new stock, but it did see some insider buying pretty heavily. And it is, and the technical picture is also putting in a nice potential longer term bull flag pattern. So pay attention to some of these small caps. They are super risky. This is just, us speculating, kind of doing a little bit of a diver deep into the recent insider selling and buying, but hopefully it helps. Please give this video a big like down below and stay tuned for more price action. Thank you, everybody.